What's up guys, welcome back to another video. In this one today we're going to be talking about my favorite part of filmmaking, which is editing. I've been shooting and editing videos for about 4 years now, and as I've worked on a bunch of different projects, I kind of started to subconsciously put together these rules that I like to stick to when I'm editing now. They're not rules you absolutely have to follow, but they're more like guidelines that have helped me out a lot when I'm working on stuff. Now, I'm not a master of editing yet after just 4 years, so I'm sure I'm going to be adding a lot to this list in the future as I do some more work, and you can expect to see me talk about everything that I'm learning right here on this channel. So make sure to do me a huge favor before we get started and hit like and subscribe. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get right into the video. Alright, so the first law I'm going to give you guys is to edit to the music. Music is definitely one of the main reasons that I got into making videos. I always pay attention to the music in movies and TV shows that I'm watching, and whenever I'm just listening to music, I'm usually imagining a scene that would take place to whatever I'm listening to. And the opposite is also true. Whenever I go to shoot something, I'm always thinking of what type of song would fit this situation that I'm shooting right now. When you're editing, it's basically just the next step of taking what's in your imagination and putting it down into Final Cut or Premiere Pro. So before I even start editing, the first or second step is going to be for me to find a song that I like and I want to use for whatever I'm working on. I'll show you guys an example with the video I just made for a personal trainer. Okay, so now I'm in Premiere Pro and I want to show you guys what I'm talking about in a little bit more detail. Like I said before, the first thing that I did was pick out the beat, and from there it was super easy and super fun. So the first thing I'm doing right here, I'm just setting up the scene and making sure it's clear to the audience who's being trained and who's the trainer. The beat hasn't really dropped yet, so I'm not really gonna pay too much attention to it at first until the full beat drops. Now once you get started, it's going to be kind of tempting to cut on each clap or kick, but you don't want to be too predictable, because if the audience knows that every clap there's going to be a cut, they're going to see where you're going with the video and it's going to get kind of boring. You want to switch up the rhythm every once in a while to keep them guessing. Another thing I like to do is switch between different elements of the song. So if we go to the part where we're outside, you can see I'm going to the kick right here, boom boom, and then later, like right here, I'm going to the melody. His feet are kind of sticking with the melody in slow motion. And then when the beat drops again and the hi-hats hit, the fast feet are going to the hi-hats. So I'm switching between the different elements of the song. Okay, so we started off with a fun one, but this next one is probably the very first step you should take when you're about to start editing something. And that would be organizing your footage. And when I say organizing, I also mean watching it through. The way I used to edit was to throw in the parts that I liked as I was going through the footage. Basically, I would edit without having seen all of the footage and not knowing what the best parts were. So I'd be editing and I'd be going through the footage and I'd be like scanning through, and then I'd see something I like and I'd just throw it in. And if it worked, then I'd move on. And if it didn't, I'd find something else. So that way, maybe I would finish without even seeing all of the footage. And that's terrible, because if you haven't seen all the footage, how are you gonna know that you didn't miss one of the best takes or the best shots? Another problem with this method is I would scroll through a ton of unusable footage, and it just wasn't really an efficient way to edit. It would make my sessions be way longer than they needed to be, and that was draining a lot of mental energy. So maybe I wasn't being as creative as I could have been if I was just focused on editing. Now what I do when I edit is I just have a whole organization session where I don't make any editing choices. I'm just going through the footage and getting more comfortable with it. That way, when I do start to edit, I know I'm going through the best of the best footage. I'll show you guys again real quick with the same video. So I recorded Lucas, the trainer, with 3 different clients of his, and each one had their own little highlight reel for Instagram like you saw before. If you look at my timeline area, you can see that they each have their own edited video, and then they also have a full timeline of just their usable footage that I shot. And let's say, for example, we were gonna interview Lucas and have him talk about how he trains his clients. Then you'd see me make a whole new timeline called Lucas interview footage, and I would sort through all the usable parts and put them on that timeline. I'd probably say that this is the biggest thing that I wasn't doing before when I was editing, and it's really helped me a lot. The third thing I'm going to tell you guys is to try out multiple ideas within your edit. I don't know why, but I instinctively don't want to go backwards when I'm editing. So when I put something down that I like, I don't want to think about changing it again because I feel like I'm giving myself more work. But I think it's important for nothing to be final when you're editing. You should still be open to different ideas when you're cutting together a video. There's been a lot of times where I put something down that I thought was maybe a 7 out of 10, but if I spent a little bit more time being creative and open, I could have found something that was a 10 out of 10. Even though you're just sitting at a computer, video editing can kind of be tedious and tiring. So I think what happens is we get attached to our edits because we don't want to end up redoing the whole video. But if you're just speeding through your edit, you're going to limit what your video could potentially be because you're not going to spend the time to figure out what the best way to use your footage is. You might settle for something good when you could have had something that was amazing. It's like working on a puzzle that has a bunch of different possible configurations, and it's your job to stay open and creative and find the best version of that puzzle. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys again for watching another video of mine. I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope you're able to find projects that push you, because that's really the best way to learn, is to just go out and find stuff to edit. I'm still trying to get my hands on a lot of different types of projects that I've never worked on before because I still have a lot to learn. I feel like video editing is an art and a science at the same time, because a lot of times you don't even know why something works. It's just kind of a feeling that you get that this is the right move to make. And then there's other times where you know a certain trick or technique will enhance the video in a certain emotional way to convey the story a little bit better. And that's where I think we all want to get to, is to where we know why we're making the choices that we're making when we're editing. Before I get out of here though, I just want to also talk about the fact that when I watched YouTube videos when I was younger, I never realized how hard it is to just sit and talk to the camera. I'd be messing up so many times when I'm making these videos. It's like, bro, can I just function correctly and say what I need to say? Like, it's really not that difficult, but at the same time it is. But I think the best way to get better at it is just to do it as much as possible, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. So just bear with me until I get better at it. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.